now. My brain is at ease. All right, Jesse, last one. This one is for you.
Take us home, baby.
Another old lady? Is this a thing?
Yeah, all for you.
I know you
Old
like
lady
them.
But there might be a
nightmares.
twist.
Possibly aliens? Caramel Odd writes in, before we begin, give a huge shout out to Alex. He's my favorite one of you three. Do you just want me to say this? He's my favorite one of you three.
I just wanted you to say this out loud.
Especially after those episodes the last 2 weeks. He's
the
so good.
chillest dude I've ever seen. He seems like a great guy to just go into the woods and smoke some dank weed with.
Hey.
Anyway, on to my... I don't believe this story at all. I don't even need to know what this story is.
Yeah, this story's real.
Anyway, on to my story. I've been listening to you guys a little over a year now, and I'm on the episode with the murder dream goblin. Hearing that story reminded me of my own personal experience, which I've been trying to post on this subreddit for some time, but haven't been able to for fear of sounding crazy.
Let me just tell you, on this subreddit, you don't need to worry about that.
Not at all.
I don't know. You already sound a little... This whole Alex thing is a little bonkers, but
Let me tell you about the green stone.
I've lived in my current house my whole life, and I'm currently 20, starting in the year 2006 when I was around the age of 5. I know.
I graduated high school that year.
I know.
Stop.
I graduated 2 years before that.
I started having these bizarre nightmares about a group of old ladies who would be outside my window, which was right above where I would put my head to sleep at night. I'd be asleep, and from my window, depending on the night, I'd either hear light pebbles being thrown against the window, which the outside of the window was full of rocks, or someone would go psst, psst, and I would then stand up on my bed and look out the window to see a group of 3 very strange looking old ladies, one who looked very similar to the character Granny Garbanzo from the show The Big Comfy Couch.
I'm looking that up.
I can visualize that. The red nose and everything.
Oh God. Granny Garbanzo. My brother used to watch this show.
Granny Garbanzo.
Yep.
Big Comfy Couch.
I don't want her outside my window at night, though. I'll tell you that.
Which, for those of you
like
who are
a clown?
unaware, is a show about a clown girl named Lunettes and her dolly Molly and their adventures on this big green
It's
couch.
like all the toys that you were scared of at your grandma's house in one show.
Yeah. At the time I was growing up, let me see where I lost my. At the time I was growing up, sporting a red do-rag with white curly hair and green dress, and of course a big bright red nose. Right, so that's what she used to look like. The other 2 people in the group were not as notable as the one black hair and wore a blue dress and was blonde in a yellow dress. After I'd look out the window, I'd hear the leader say in real Southern accent, "We're coming to get you."
Oh
So
my
I gave the lady the name Get You.
Oh,
I love that. I love that.
it's like a Stephen King story.
After yelling this, they disappear and the whole house starts shaking violently as if caught in an earthquake. And I'd fall to the floor as Get You and her old lady friends would come rushing into my room. I'd try to yell for my parents, but for some very bizarre reason, I was physically incapable of uttering or yelling out the words mom or dad. Then I'd be dragged off against my will and taken off. I remember that most of the time they would take me to this very futuristic spaceship.
Yes.
What?
Very futuristic spaceship looking place. And they would then take me to what looked like a futuristic operating theater, complete with operating table, and strap me down and put me to sleep with anesthesia, at which point I would wake up screaming. My parents would come running in to comfort me. These dreams continued to happen until I was around 12, and sometimes I would be able to figure out, oh, I'm dreaming, this is a dream, but no matter how hard I tried, I just could not wake myself up. Perhaps the most strange occurrence of all happened when I was 7 one day during the middle of the day when I was wide awake. I was playing by myself in my bedroom when all of a sudden the ground began to shake heavily and I fell to the floor like in the nightmare. I froze stiff. I started trying to remind myself that those were just dreams. My mom was playing tricks on me. Luckily, however, this time I was able to yell for my dad and he came rushing into the room. Of course, he didn't believe me, but it all just felt so real. Once I hit the age of 12, these became less frequent, more like a distant haze, and eventually I stopped having these nightmares, and I haven't had a single one since. I still think about these dreams to this day and wonder if they were in fact dreams. And then a little TLDR, I used to get really bizarre nightmares about weird, possibly alien old ladies, and one of my dreams may have become reality. So I'm curious about this. So what I know about old ladies in dreams is that old ladies in dreams are like supposed to be about dealing with, like, I don't know how to phrase this in a way that makes sense for a small child, because usually it's about like dealing with things that you feel are like intimate or shameful thoughts. Like they are there to sort of like, you know, they're about, you know, growing old. They're about you sort of missing out on opportunities. But more importantly, it usually is about like, oh, you're having like some weird thoughts and the old ladies are there to shame you, like that kind of thing. That's usually what I think.
I can see that.
And so, I mean, I don't know what that means for a child. I have absolutely no clue what that, you know, because I guess it could also mean like about like power dynamics or maybe control. Like you feel like you don't have control. But again, not being a child for as long as I have not been a child, I don't know what like the lack of control a child would
think of my relationship with an old lady as a kid right now.
Yeah. I don't know. But the interesting thing is the alien bit and being swept away. All of that is the usual signs of like you lack. You know, you feel like you aren't in control of certain things, or your mind is working through some shit that like you need to handle and you simply don't know how to. And so you're being like swept up and taken away. And I don't know. I think this is probably just if it is a normal dream, it's a normal dream just about, you know, being a young person that has, you know, no control over their life because you're like a kid. And that,
or,
you know,
two boring old ladies and their red-nosed leader really did come each night and take you away.
Maybe they were grays disguising themselves as cartoon characters.
They're like, this kid loves the big comfy couch. This is going to be perfect.
My favorite part about every trio ever is that in the trio, there is always the main person, the like yes person, and then the I am here too person. So like it's that way in movies all the time. And I feel like the dream has to be the same way. There's the main person, which is Granny Garbanzo. Then there's like the dark haired lady who's like, I agree with what Granny says. And then there's the blonde who's like, I'm also here. I'd like to imagine that's their group dynamic. It's like, yes, and I also am a villain as well. Yeah.
They're like,
so that's how I imagine
the Suicide Squad.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Just like that.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Well, that wraps up our listener stories. Thank you guys so much for submitting them. There's tons that we there's tons that we didn't get into. So like, if you want to go read more, just head over to the subreddit. There's an infinite amount for you to dive through.
Or if you want to sign up for our Patreon, you can then follow us into the mini-sode, which is coming out right after this. And I will have one more dream for Jesse to interpret.
Fantastic. And before we say goodbye, Jesse, what's happening at the end of October?
Oh, hey, you should go to chilluminatipod.com and there you will see a link to our live show. Tickets are almost gone. So please, if you want to come to LA, you want to like see what's up, you want to come hang out with us, we would love to have you. And come on out and like, let's get crazy with it. That should be totally fun.
It'll be a good time. We hope to see you guys there. Thank you guys so much for listening. We're off to do that mini-sode. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Anyway, me and my wife were sitting outside indulging on our porch one night, enjoying ourselves. I needed to go to the bathroom, so I stepped back inside, and after a few moments, I hear my wife go, "Holy shit, get out here." So I quickly dash back outside, and she's looking up at the sky in awe. I look up too, and there's a perfect line of dozen lights traveling across the sky.
to theories
of the third kind.
Welcome to Theories of the Third Kind. My name is Aaron, and I'm one of your hosts. There are two other hosts that are joining me today, of course. Danielson.
Yo, guys.
And Anna.
Good afternoon.
So before we start today's episode, I just want to say, like always, we do not run any ads on this show or take any money from any corporations. So if you would like to help us out, then there's a few ways that you can do that.
One of the ways is Patreon. For only $5 a month, which is just 16 cents a day, you can sign up to our Patreon and get an extra episode each week. These Patreon episodes are exclusive to members only. Today, we released a Patreon exclusive episode, which is over the secret Nazi space program. Woohoo. Also, we have several more episodes already locked and loaded for your listening pleasure, such as Cults, Disney Darkness, Isaac Cappy, McMartin Satanic Preschool, Clinton Body Count, FEMA, and much more, which you get access to, all of it, for just $5 a month.
Another way to support the show is through merchandise. Just teleport on over to our website, theoriesofthethirdkind.com, and click on the shop button. Then you can see all the merch we have. Hats, t-shirts, all that good stuff. I just wanted to let you know that the money we get from Patreon and the merchandise, those all go to bettering the show. Also, I know things are tough right now, so if you can't afford a shirt or a Patreon membership, but you want to help us out, then you could just leave us a written review on iTunes. That helps us out a ton.
If you don't want to leave one, though, then that is fine. We just want you guys, girls, aliens, reptilians, Bigfoot, Sasquatches, Chupacabras, ghosts, Illuminati members, space, underground lizard people, whoever or whatever you are, to enjoy the show. Also, one last thing. If any of you would like to reach out to us, then you can shoot us a message on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, or you can go to our website, theoriesofthethirdkind.com. You can click on the contact button, and there you will find our email addresses. Also, on our site, you can click the voicemail button and leave us a voicemail anonymously with your phone, and we'll play it at the end of the show each week. So today's episode is Dyatlov Pass. How this episode will go today is that we will first cover what is the Dyatlov Pass incident, the hikers involved in it, the timeline of the events itself, what was found, the investigation, strange facts and findings, and then wrap it all up with theories. So let's get into today's episode. Now, before we discuss the deaths, rumors, and conspiracies surrounding all of this, let's first discuss the hikers.
So we decided to go over each member in this group briefly to see what the group capabilities were. Now, all of the members were already experienced hikers and skiers, so this was nothing new to any of them. In this group, there were 10 individuals. First on the list is Igor Dyatlov, the commander or leader of this group. He was 23 years old and a fifth-year student at Ural Polytechnic Institute. He assembled a radio during his second year, which was used during hikes in 1956. He also designed a small stove that he used on this trip. So this next person that we're going into is Zenaida Kolmogorova. Zena was 22 years old and also a fifth-year student at UPI. She's been on 6 hiking expeditions of Category 2 status. And the next person that we have is Yuri Dorosenko. He was 21 years old and a fourth-year student of the radio engineering at the UPI like the rest of them. But he was mostly remembered for his courageous act of charging and intimidating a bear with only a geology hammer. Big balls on this guy. I would not do that.
Yeah.
I'd be shriveled up in a ball.
Yeah.
He also had a relationship with Xena, but that ended and they stayed friends.
So this next person is Ludmila Dubanina. She was a 20-year-old woman and a four-year student of engineering and economics at UPI. She had considerable mountaineering experience, which showed when on one expedition she was accidentally shot in the leg by a hunter who accompanied them. She pushed through the pain and traveled the long path back. She was a tough one. Yeah, if I got shot, I'd lay there until a helicopter came in and picked me up.
Hell yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't. What a shitty hunter to shoot somebody. I mean, I just saying.
I mean, you bring a hunter with you on an expedition, and next thing you know, he shoots one of the hikers. Like, what the hell?
He's not that great of a hunter then, you're right, yeah.
So the next one is Alexander Kolyatov. He was 24 years old and a four-year student of nuclear physics at UPI as well. He moved to Moscow to work in the secret institute of the Ministry of Medium Machine Building. Later, he moved to the Research Institute of Inorganic Materials that was engaged in producing materials for the growing nuclear industry at the time. Then he moved back to go to UPI to continue learning about nuclear stuff. The next one is Yuri Krivony-Shenko. He was a 23-year-old male, and he graduated from UPI in 1957 for construction in hydraulics. Before the expedition, he worked in Chelyabinsk 40, a secret nuclear facility. He experienced a disaster that became known as Krishtim disaster. On September 29, 1957, the plutonium plant experienced a radioactive leak. He was one of many who was set to clean this up. The next one is Rustam Slobodin. He was 23 years old and a graduate from UPI as well in 1958 for engineering technology. He was the more athletic one of the group. And even though he was Russian, his parents were professors and was teaching in Asia during his birth. So he ended up with an Asian name, which I don't know if Rustam or Rustic that he likes to be called seems Asian, but we'll just go with it.
Yeah. When I heard that little bit of information, I'm just like, where would you find that to be Asian? All right, the next one we have is Nikolai Thibault Bernot. He was 23 years old and also graduated from UPI in 1958 for civil engineering. He was the son of a French communist who was sent to a detention camp to later on he was executed under the Stalinistic regime. Then after that, we have Zemyan Zolotaryov. We have the oldest of the group, 38 years old, graduated from the Institute of Physical Education in Minsk in 1950. He was an instructor, Korvika, tour based during the incident. He was the most mysterious of the group. He asked to be called Sasha. No one really knew much about him, but he fought during the Great Patriotic War, which had a 3% survival rate, and he ended up gaining 4 military awards from it, which is pretty impressive. And then our 10th member, Yuri Yoldin. Last but not least, 21 years old, Yuri was a 4th-year student of UPI for engineering.
Yeah, so pretty much those are all the people involved in this hiking expedition. These were all the people that were involved in this hiking expedition, and almost all of them were students or had been students of UPI, and they all had hiking experience. So now that we know some information about these individuals, let's get into the timeline of what happened.
So the entire goal of this 14-day expedition was to reach Otorten, which was a mountain. The team was made up of 8 men and 2 women, students and graduates of the Ural Polytechnic, and was led by Igor Dyatlov. During this time of the season, was estimated as Category 3, which is the most difficult out of all the hiking categories. However, like we said earlier, all of the members were experienced in long mountain expeditions, so it shouldn't have been that big of a deal for them.
No, it shouldn't have.
Nope.
On January 25th, the group arrived by train to Ivdel, which was a city at the center of the northern province of Sverdlovsky Oblast. The group then took a truck to Vizay. Now, something worth noting here, Vizay was the last inhabited settlement that they were at when they were doing their hike.
Yep.
So then on January 27th, they left Vizay and started their hike towards Otorten Mountain.
On January 28th, one of the students, Yuri Yolden, becomes ill, and he decided to go back to the nearest town. That was a lucky call by him. Whatever got him sick?
Sciatic. That's sciatica.
It was, really. So he had like some back issues.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So then on the next day, on January 29th, the hike continues. The group is following the valley and the river heading towards the Otorten Mountain. They are traveling on frozen lakes using the old Mansi trails. Now keep these Mansi trails in mind because we talk about the Mansis, this group, later on during the theories. And we mentioned them a little bit during the whole thing of what happened. I think you might have mentioned some of that in one of your theories, Daniel. The Mansis.
Oh, the local tribes.
Yeah, the local tribe.
Yes.
Yeah. So then on January 31st, after their 4th day of hiking, the group sets up a camp by the Ospia River. Now, this is where they leave some of their supplies. So on their way back, they have it all set up for, them. So they have it ready for on their, and plus they don't have to carry a whole bunch of stuff with them up to the Otorten Mountain. So on February 1st, the group set out for a 2.5 mile trip. Now, the weather conditions were pretty horrible that day, so at around 4 p.m., they decided to set up camp on the slope of Colette Sekel. The group settled down for the night. Later in the evening is when the tragic events took place.
Now, what happens next is a mystery, but this is what we do know. So it had been agreed upon beforehand that Dyatlov would send a telegram to their sports club as soon as the group returned to Vizay, which was the town that we talked about earlier. Now, this was expected to happen no later than February 12th, but Dyatlov has told Yolden that he expected it to be longer. And so when February 12th had passed and no message had been received from Dyatlov, there was no immediate reaction. However, on February 20th, volunteer students, teachers, and army and police forces became involved. They started searching for the students.
So it goes from February 1st, and then there's a big gap that nobody hears from them all the way until February nobody hears anything from them. And then February 20th is when they send out the search group. So that's where the mystery starts. And that's where we're about to get into of what was found during the search. And it gets pretty crazy. So let's hop into that.
I like crazy.
So 6 days after they started their search, the searchers found the abandoned and badly damaged tent on Kolat Sickle, where the students had last set up their camp on February 1st. One of the individuals who first came across the tent said, "The tent was half torn down and half covered with snow. It was empty and all the group's belongings and shoes had been left behind." Investigators said that the tent had been cut open from the inside and that skiers had fled in socks or bare feet. A chain of 8 or 9 sets of footprints left by several people who were wearing socks, a single shoe, or barefoot could be found and led down towards the edge of nearby woods. On the opposite side of the pass, about 1.5 kilometers northeast, but after 500 meters, they were covered with snow. At the forest's edge, under a large old cedar, the search party found the remains of a fire, along with the first 2 bodies, Yuri Krivonisenko and Yuri Dorosenko. Both were shoeless and dressed only in their underwear.
Hot.
The large cedar tree near them, it had branches that were broken up to 5 meters high, suggesting that they had climbed up to look for something or look at something. Forensic tests later confirmed that traces of skin were found embedded in the bark, indicating that the pair had frantically attempted to climb the tree, snapping off branches until their hands were a mass of pulpy flesh.
Ooh.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oof.
They were definitely trying to get out of something, get away from something.
Yeah, both of those Yuris were trying to get up there.
That's funny. Both their first names were Yuri. And the ending of their last names were Shenko.
That is weird.
And they ran off together.
And had the same type of death, probably.
On February 27th, between the cedar tree and the tent, the searchers found Igor Dyatlov. And he was 300 meters from the cedar tree.
Zaneta Komogorova.
630 meters from the cedar tree. 6 days later, on March 5th, Rustam Slobodin was found 480 meters from the cedar tree. All three seemed to have died in poses suggesting that they were attempting to return to the tent. A medical examination found no injuries, and it was concluded that they had died of hypothermia. However, Rustam had a small crack in his skull, but it was not thought to be a fatal wound.
Now, by March 5th, 4 of the hikers were still missing. They didn't find their remains until 2 months later. On May 5th, under 4 meters of snow in the ravine 75 meters further into the woods from the cedar tree, the 4 remaining students were found. All 4 were better dressed than the others, and almost all of them were wearing the clothes of the other students who were found almost naked. Zolotaryov was wearing Dubinina's faux fur coat and hat, while Dubinina's foot was wrapped in a piece of Krivony-Shenko's wool pants. An examination of the 4 bodies found in May changed the course of the whole investigation. 3 of them had fatal injuries. The body of Thibaut Bernal had major skull damage. Both Dubinina and Zolotaryov had major chest fractures. According to Dr. Boris, the force required to cause such damage would have been extremely high. He compared it to the force of a car crash. The bodies had no external wounds, as if they were crippled by a high level of pressure. Dubinina's was found to be missing her tongue and eyeballs.
What? Eyeballs and tongue? Oh my God, I can't wait till we get to theories to talk about that. I got a theory about that.
Oh snap, I'm ready to hear that one. Before the 4 students died, they had managed to dig out a den in the snow, lay it down with branches in an effort to keep themselves warm. Smart. But the things were about to get even more bizarre. Bodies were actually found a few feet from their improvised shelter in the deep part of the ravine. Some of the hikers' clothing, which is 2 sweaters and pants, were found to be radioactive. Also, some of the clothes taken from the bodies underneath the cedar tree were placed on the cedar branches, but apparently they were not used.
I mean, sometimes I go on hikes and I just have to really wash my clothes afterwards because that radioactivity that you get from just going out, you know.
Yeah. You gotta watch out for the forest animals, man. They're all radioactive. You don't want them near you.
You gotta watch out for that radioactive Bigfoot, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, and your mic, yeah.
All right, so why don't we go back and recap real quick. On February 1st, the group ripped the tent open from the inside with a knife, and then they fled down the hill to that nearby forest. It was about 300 meters, and all of them were either barefoot or only wearing socks. All right, and then they lit a fire, stayed there for about 2 hours. After that, 3 of them, Igor, Zina, and Rustam, tried to come back to the camp. They failed and collapsed at different places. One's at 300, one at 480, and one at 630 meters from the fire pit. Krivony Senko, Yuri Doroshenko were waiting near the fire pit, and they had died from the cold around noon. The temperature of the area was estimated to be about -13 to -22 degrees.
Jesus.
I know. It's cold as hell. It's like as cold as your heart, Aaron.
Pretty much.
The one joke they had was before they left Vizay, when they were inside, they're just like, oh, your coffee is cold? Walk outside then. Your coffee will be hot then. That's how cold it was outside.
Damn.
Jeez.
It's like, damn.
All right, and then we have the rest of the group that decided to take the clothes off the dead bodies, and then they put them on, and then they went deeper into the woods. Okay, so 3 of the 4 of those guys had fatal injuries. A skull injury, a major chest fracture, and Dubinina was also missing her eyeballs and her tongue. These 4 students had died from an unknown compelling force, similar to someone being in a car crash. So that's a roundup of kind of the injuries, what's happened, recapping it all, and now we're going to kind of transition into the investigation of this event.
Of course, an investigation happened into the deaths of the students. It found no signs of struggle and no sign that other people or an animal had been involved with these incidences. The case was closed in May of 1959 without any definite conclusions as to what had made these students flee from their tents and how four were fatally injured in the ravine had died. This effectively exonerated the native Mansi people, which were a peaceful tribe that was located in the area, who some thought might have attacked the group for being on their land. Others speculated that it was a large animal or even a Yeti or a Bigfoot. Now, before we get into these theories and start theorizing, hypothesizing, all that good stuff, let's go over some strange facts and findings first. So, Dan,
I had a question. So, I think it was recently, I think it was actually this year, they closed out again the investigation on it. Whoever was like the one investigating closed out the thing saying that it was an avalanche that killed them all. Like legit, that was what they finalized.
Well, how do you explain the radioactivity then? How do you explain the eyeballs and the tongue missing?
That's what they're like upset about. They're just like, this guy comes in and just says, "Oh, we're just going to conclude it was an avalanche."
Well, there's two things that doesn't sit with me well with the avalanche theory. Is the radioactivity and the eyeballs and tongue missing. Maybe if it was just the tongue missing, but the eyeballs missing because, what happened? How does the eyeballs go missing? And then the tongue, and then the radioactivity. Where the hell does that come from?
Yeah. So it was 2019 and March 15th. Prosecutor's office undergo expedition to Dyatlov Pass to test 3 theories: avalanche, snow slab, and hurricane. July 11th of 2020, Andrei Kirikov announces the conclusion of the new investigation. It was an avalanche. But then August 10th of this year, Krasnov reprimanded Kirikov. The investigation was warned of incomplete official compliance. So pretty much I guess he just tried to close it off just to get done with it. And then he got reprimanded for it. So I don't know if it's been reopened since that's only been half a month ago.
I mean, you give 3 options to go for, and none of them sound like any possible option for what actually happened.
No.
And why limit yourself to 3? If you're actually investigating something, then you are looking into it. And please explain to me, Mr. Andre or whatever his name is, how do you lose eyes and tongue in an avalanche? Did she try to put her tongue out to catch the snow on it? And the force of the avalanche just ripped it out? Come on.
Yeah.
Only thing I could really think of for the tongue thing, was that she had got really bad frostbite.
Oh.
And she bit down on her tongue and she fucking bit it off. But that's for later. We're going to cut that out though.
Okay. All right. So let's move into strange facts and findings, and then we'll move into hypothesizing about what could have happened. All right, Dan, hit us with the first strange fact or finding.
All right. The first one, meaning of the name. So the goal of the hikers was to reach Otorten Mountain. Something odd that we found was the translation of the name of the mountain. There are indigenous people that live near the mountain in Russia. Their language is Mansi. When you translate Otorten Mountain to their language, it translates to "don't go there."
It's a little odd, right?
I'm really trying to think. Was it also called Death Mountain after that too?
I think I remember hearing that.
The Mountain of the Dead.
Is that the Otorten Mountain?
Yeah. It is. They call it "don't go there" because the gates between them are considered sacred and dangerous since ancient times.
Ooh. Okay. Why would you want to travel there anyways? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
The second strange fact we have is the autopsy. The medical examiner recorded that some of the corpses had livor mortis on the front. Given that such marks always form on the side of a body that has been pressed against the ground, this indicated that someone had turned them over after death.
This straight up contradicts what the investigation said, their conclusion in 1959, saying that there was no signs of struggle and no sign of other people or animal that had been involved. that right there confirms that animals or a person had to be involved.
Yeah. And, to go with that, the tent was, it was all mangled up, but they found that on the tent, it was actually cut from the inside.
From the inside, yeah.
Run out. So, something had to be going after him. Come on now.
Yeah. You have to be absolutely petrified to do any means necessary to get out of a tent. A tent has a zipper. And I know, have you ever been camping before? Oh yeah, me too. And you want to leave, you got to pee real bad in the morning, and you're like, where is that zipper? You grab it, you put it around, and guess what? It pulled the other zipper, and now you're stuck inside still. So, of course, I get their struggle. Just cut out of that bitch and just go through the whole, like you're being rebirthed into the world.
like on Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, when he comes out of that rhino.
Yes.
Look, everyone, the rhino's giving birth.
All right, what's this last strange fact and finding we have?
All right, and then the final strange fact we have is Dubonina's premonition. Supposedly before they got to Diablos Pass, she was writing in her diary about how she was sad and didn't have a good feeling about things. In her diary, she wrote on January 27th, and I quote, "Now most of the guys sit here and sing songs to the guitar. On the occasion that they do not work today, it seems that this is the last time we heard so many good new songs. But we hope that Rustic will live up to the challenge." So it's being questioned that she had a premonition of the fact that she knew this would be the last time they heard any song singing or playing and on the guitar because of what she wrote in her diary, which there's a lot more to it. We'll put a link up for that to where you can go and read pretty much all of their diary entries and stuff.
Yeah, they got a lot of diary entries. All right, so those are the strange facts and findings. Not a lot, but I'll tell you what we do have a lot of. And that's a lot of theories.
There were a lot of theories with this one.
A lot, which let's just dive right into them, okay?
Do it.
So, Anna, do you want to give us the first theory?
I would love to start us off with talking about the gravity fluctuation theory. Now, this might be the most bizarre of the theories, which you guys know me, I'm known for being the one out there, super bizarro Annie over here. So, albeit one that is grounded in scientific thought, though. So let's dive in. This theory essentially argues that there was a sudden drop in the gravity in the corridor that the hikers were unfortunately camped in that night. Now, I'll say there is a little known, unproven phenomenon, but it does, at least in theory, exist that explains the eventual location of the campers' bodies. Now, for example, it is argued that those who first rushed outside the camp were essentially placed into a non-gravitational situation where they died instantly, as if they were in a vacuum. The others were dragged from the tent, which would explain the tears from the inside. They were literally ripped from the tent due to the sudden and dramatic drop in gravity. It is argued that the unusual phenomenon occurs more than people realize, but rarely results in such drastic situations. Now, as people aren't usually caught in that event when it happens, so we just really don't see that super often. Now, some researchers, though, they claim that if the hikers had simply kept their tent shut, they would have survived this rare incident.
What?
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
They got sucked out, but yet they're supposed to stay in there with it being shut. As far as I'm concerned, they had that thing shut. Yeah. It was cold.
Yeah. I mean, it was negative 22 degrees. I mean, good God. So,
well, there is that one guy who's always super hot. And then they're like, would you please just open up the tent just a little? Yeah.
That'd be me.
I would be in two people's sleeping bags, snuggling somebody, saying how cold I still am.
That would be boxers.
Yeah. I would be butt-ass naked, laid out on the snow, making a snow angel, saying I'm still sweating out here.
Oh, baby, I'm sweating. Yeah.
No, oh, my God. So, now, is this gravity fluctuation thing, are they saying that it is a natural occurring phenomenon that happens in the environment, or that it's some type of like UFO that it's a weapon of a UFO, that the UFO hovers over this specific location and then shoots down this gravity fluctuation type beam.
Ooh.
Or if this is a natural occurring thing, is this what killed Jeffrey Epstein? I don't know. We'll
We
take
should leave
that out.
that in there because I'm just like, what?
But seriously, is this a natural occurring or is this a weapon?
That's a great
That is a
question.
great question because there's actually theories about one, it might be a UFO or a secret weapon.
Ooh.
All right,
Yeah,
Ooh, I
let's
like
hear
that.
one of those. Yeah, hit us up with one of those.
we'll hop to whatever I say, the secret weapon test theory. This theory could explain the mysterious deaths, reports of strange lights, and the air of secrecy with which the Soviet authorities handled the incident. Many rumors persisted in the area that the Soviets would regularly test secret weapons. Some have even claimed that neutron weapons were in use. The injuries of some of the campers who had severe internal trauma but little external damage would certainly suggest some sort of advance in secretive technology. Might it be possible that the Soviet military were testing weapons designed to scare the United States? For example, only to kill 9 of its own citizens, much like the Gulag theories? This scenario would result in an instant and deep cover-up.
It sounds familiar, right? Just the government covering up their mistakes by making shit up. You go ahead, Aaron. Yours is going to be way more educated sounding.
No. I was just going to say, like, I mean, it could be a secret weapons test. But I just thought of something that I'm like kind of like leaning more towards now, but I'll save that to personal thoughts and theories to the end.
So I know one of you guys mentioned that it could have been possibly a UFO shooting off or some